go. Overbooked, under-delivered, and we've got more Tongas than Tangas. And quite frankly, it was a load of old shit. But anyway, enough of that. Welcome to the Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast, Night of Champions review show. As you can see, my man, Mr. Dave Robinson, next to me. Dave, have you got a therapy appointment booked for tomorrow after watching that absolute shit show of Night of Champions?
Oh, I've got to be honest, like I just said before we started recording, the first match went down and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Um, we'll get into it and talk about Cody a bit more.
Yeah.
But we saw a bit of a different side to Cody, and I thought, what
Yes.
a great way to start the show. Other than that, it was disappointing. It was a house show. They've done so well with so many international shows as well, and I know the Saudi ones in the past have been a bit like this, but I thought they'd turned a corner with international shows, and the crowd were great.
Yeah.
They really were. They deserved better than some of this nonsense we got, to be honest.
Do you think that they just accept it? Because I mean, like, I know they just accept it, but they're just excited, right? I mean, and they were, I mean, SmackDown as well. They were great on SmackDown. To be fair, SmackDown was half decent, and I'll give the WWE on that one. But do you think just Saudi Arabia just enjoy it just because, like, they kind of had the nostalgic stuff initially. If you remember when they first went over there, obviously Taker and Gold, we had that great match, Taker and
They wanted
Goldberg.
Yokozuna, didn't they?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. But do you think they just Saudi Arabia just kind of accept it? And they're not like fans like sort of us like when they come over here, sorry. We expect we're paying a lot of fucking money to go and watch wrestling nowadays, and we actually demand something. Is Saudi Arabia just a case of we don't really care, we just want to see you guys come over?
I possibly because you think of, I know it's been going on for what, 10 years now, is it? Or something like that in
Don't
terms of
know.
the safety shows. But yeah, they don't get a lot of wrestling, do they? They only get WWE. I don't think AEW have entertained going there. I don't think TNA have been there. So in terms of mainstream American wrestling,
Hmm.
this is all they get. And this is what we were talking about last week, and should they go because of the stuff going on in the Middle East? And
Yeah.
you felt for the fans if they weren't to go, because they would have been looking forward to it so much, and they're not involved with the conflict. They're just fans like us, and for them to miss out on something that they've looked forward to for so long would have been a massive shame. So yeah, maybe they're more accepting because of how little they've had over the years up
Yeah.
until recently. But I just think the show is being streamed on the same platform across. There's no need to have like this house show type feel to it. There's no need to like rein it in as such. And I mean, there was a title change on the show. We had a really good Cody match as well. So, some stuff did happen, but I just felt they were phoning it in a little bit. I just didn't think it lived up to the potential show it could have. I don't know, it's not one of the main shows, it's not one of the big four, but I think we've seen in recent times that it doesn't matter whether it's one of the big four shows, WWE can roll into town, particularly somewhere they don't go very often, and put on a show of the year. And they definitely didn't do that last night.
You say about about maybe this being a weaker show, but they moved one of the greatest feuds in WWE history to this show. It was scheduled for a SummerSlam or Survivor Series, John Cena, CM Punk.
Yeah.
They moved it to Saudi Arabia, and I don't know. Do you reckon they done that? Just because, and the point was made. Apparently, this was a plant, by the way. I've read this. I don't know how true this is, but during the kickoff, Punk got called out by one of the fans for what he said when he was in AEW.
Yeah.
He apologized. He was getting booed, and rightfully so, I suppose, for the fans. But um, they moved that feud from Survivor Series, maybe from Money in the Bank, to Saudi Arabia. Did they do that, do you think, so that Punk could make amends with the Saudi Arabian crowd?
It's interesting one, isn't it? Because I've been waiting for Punk to come out and say something about it, and I know there's something in the press conference, as you say, but he hasn't been addressed on television. Um, and seemed obvious that Cena was going to win this match.
Mm.
So I even thought, is it some kind of punishment, you know? And I know
Yeah.
WWE is a different company now, but there's that little bit of vengeance at play. Punk said these comments about Saudi Arabia so long ago, so we're going to send him to Saudi Arabia, put him in the main event, and he's going to lose. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being a bit cynical, but yeah, my issue wasn't with the match happening on the show. I was all right with that, and I thought for the most part they put on a decent match. They had good chemistry still.
Mhm.
Um, it was the finish, mate. It was the like you said at the start, the overbooked stuff, the yet another briefcase tease.
Yeah.
Um, yet another not a belt shot, was it? It was a briefcase shot, but
Mm.
yet another low blow attempt. It's just recycling the same stuff. And I know Cena said that he was ruining wrestling, but um, yeah, it's really difficult to get excited about the next Cena match or where they go next with it, given how they went off the air last night.
Well, we know where they go next with the next Cena match. We know what the next Cena match actually is for
Yeah,
Tom. That's been booked. So
yeah,
we'll
of course.
get into that right away. And that was obviously the winner for the men's King of Ring, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, 20, nearly enough 20-minute match. It was kind of student and what's the thing? What's the saying? Mentor and
Student,
the
student, teacher, or master,
yeah, that's it.
an apprentice.
Yeah, Master and the Apprentice. Had a lot of there was a lot of Easter eggs in this, and you kind of picked up on that when you spoke there. It went back, and if I remember, I'm sure in WWE, Cody had a chance to put somebody away or hit somebody with a chair, and he didn't do it. I'm sure he did. Maybe that was Sammy. I can't quite remember. Maybe I've got that wrong, but he didn't do it. And Randy had the opportunity in this one to punt kick Cody Rhodes, and he didn't do it, which is
Hesitate.
very unlike Randy Orton of, old in 2009. He probably one of the most ruthless wrestlers. And he's got the name for it now, the Viper. And he did ultimately expose the turnbuckle, which then Cody, maybe using a bit of heel, thing here, pushed Randy Orton into to set up the victory. There were some great counters in this, don't get me wrong. There was a counter into the Cody Cutter, counters into the RKO a couple of times there. I thought that perhaps Randy might have won it. But I don't think that it was always going to be Cody. There was no doubt about that. Obviously, Dave, give your overview of the match. And secondly, are we getting to a point, or are we already at the point with Cody where they are doing exactly what they did with John Cena back in maybe 2005, 2006 to Cody Rhodes? And I've been hearing boos recently, and I think Cody even come out and said that he's probably only got, he said 1 to 3 years as a babyface. I'm thinking 6 to 9 months perhaps left as a babyface.
Yeah, they were definitely teasing a bit of a heel turn or heelish tendencies from Cody. I think if they play into the fact that at WrestleMania he couldn't hit Cena. I don't know if it was with the belt at WrestleMania,
Mm,
but he could he wasn't ruthless enough. He wasn't aggressive enough.
yeah,
And ultimately lost the match. You saw how aggressive he approached this match with Orton, as you say, against somebody who was renowned for that type of style, if you like. Um, if they play into that kind of Cody's learned his lesson from WrestleMania, and when he comes to face Cena, um, he won't hesitate, and he'll do whatever he takes to retain the title.
yeah,
I understand that. I don't think that's bad. My only concern would be with the reactions Cena's getting, that actually it could end up being a bit of a double turn.
yeah,
If Cody were to hit Cena with the title, a belt, a low blow, rather than elation from the crowd and like he's getting Cena's getting what he deserved. Actually, could they boo Cody and cheer Cena even more so? So there's that to factor in. My thoughts on the match. I really, really enjoyed
yeah.
this match. I'm a huge Autumn fan, to be honest. I have been over the years. As I was coming back from London last night, I went to see Linkin Park at Wembley Arena.
Lovely.
I was passenger, I was watching a bit of the show on my phone, and my brother was in the back and he was trying to sleep. So I had the volume really low, and I
Mm,
kind of had subtitles on. and I was reading a little bit, but I was kind of watching the match without commentary to a degree.
Yeah,
And it made me appreciate Orton even more because everything he does means something.
yeah,
His mannerisms, every small move, every headlock, every stomp, every punch, every facial expression. And he's been doing that his whole career. So yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I thought they might have left some on the table for a return match, or I didn't think it would finish. I know there was the buckle in the corner.
mm,
So it wasn't clean strictly.
yeah.
Um, but I thought they might have done it in a way that might have led to another match, or even Randy turning, or even though it looked like Cody was more likely in the match itself. But I did really, really enjoy this match. It was the best thing on the card by a long stretch.
It was, yeah. And I think that the seed, from if what I've read is correct, Randy's the one that's probably going to be going heel sooner than later. And I do think,
Yeah,
yeah, because that was one of the feuds that I was looking forward to the most with Cody and Randy, especially Randy kept glaring at the bell every time that he had the chance. And I thought maybe we were going to get that, but I think we will get it. Just further down the line. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that match was kind of the match that really you should have just switched off after that.
yeah,
Really. We'll move on. Unfortunately, we've got to get through the rest of these. Rhea Ripley, to be fair, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez wasn't a bad match by any
no,
stretch of the imagination. Street fight, standard street fight stuff, really, on this. A couple of good spots. I mean, when Raquel power bombed Rhea through the timekeeper's proper table, that the timekeeper, I was wondering why the timekeeper had an announce table set up, pretty much, and you could hear.
yeah,
I've listened to it back. You can actually hear the actual break of the table in the shot. It snaps, and you could hear it.
yeah,
The good storyline playing to this was Roxanne Perez, obviously aligning herself with Judgment Day. She's going to be one half of the tag champions with Raquel Rodriguez going forward while Liv's out. So there was a good bit there. The super eradicator off the table, off the top, was a nice touch, albeit the referee was holding the table to make sure that they didn't have a severe accident. And yes, I am saying that because when AEW do it, WWE fans crucify it. So you're getting to get your just desserts here. It happens, and it's the reason why they do it is a safety reason. Because you'd soon be on here complaining that something should have been done to make sure they didn't fall off and break their necks. Well, they do that. That's what they're there to do in AEW and WWE and TNA and everywhere else. Rhea picking up the victory. I was half expecting Raquel to win it with the Roxanne Perez interference. So I'm kind of interested to see how they maneuver this to Raquel and Roxanne teaming up over the coming weeks and months that lives out.
yeah. I would have really liked them to put Raquel over here
Mm,
because it just seemed obvious that Rhea was going to win. And then you say you had that element of interference, but she
yeah,
still lost. And
yeah.
I just thought this was a way, even if you use the interference, which I'm not, there was too much interference on this card.
Mm,
Three matches off the top of my head had significant interference. Um, they could have done a clean match. They kind of it was a street fight, but they could have done something. They could have, Raquel was just the best woman on the night, and
yeah.
particularly, with her holding the titles and going on this new story now with Roxanne, it would have really helped the Judgment Day, I think.
Mm,
But we got the obvious result of Rhea going over. Again, bit house showy. I didn't mind the match. I thought it was an
yeah.
okay match, but it just wasn't really befitting of a of a big show. I don't know. I just thought they could have done better with it, and I think the results being different might have had that effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely so. So I suppose really now is when the show, and I don't like shitting on Karrion Kross because he done nothing wrong really in this one. It was his first show, first single match, I think, in a year on pay-per-view.
This is going to be pretty much what I said about the previous match. In
Yeah.
terms of the result, same sentiment, mate.
So Sami Zayn beats Karrion Kross. I'm not going to say what I thought Sami Zayn was wearing when he come out because that will probably be deemed very, yeah. I'll tell you, yeah, maybe off air. But Sami come out. Obviously, crowd love him. Karrion come out. The crowd love him as well. I, d- I read somewhere. that Karrion Kross may be in his contract year with the WWE. That he's been getting monster reactions. Austin Theory's been getting monster reactions as well on main event. They're finally, after about 3 years of teasing it, I think, getting to that breakup stage with him and Grayson Waller. But Karrion Kross cuts that promo at WrestleMania when he's not on the show, does a lot of numbers, crowd loving it, shirts selling out. So from a fan's perspective, everything that WWE look for in terms of someone that they want to start to elevate, he's making the money. He's doing, he's got the behind him. It's just him now, really. This match, I totally agree with you. It was decent, but I felt like Karrion Kross should have been the one, even if it was a fucking throwaway, low blow, whatever, Scarlett involved, however he went and done it. Obviously, Sammy got the win with the haluva kick. But if you're Karrion Kross and you're coming up to your contract year, do you start, and I know AEW are being a bit more, they're not just
Selective. Yeah.
selective with their approach, but are you starting to reach out to the TNAs, the AEWs, the NWAs and saying, hey, my contract's coming up. What's the gig?
Yeah, I mean that can be the only reason why he's not on more and winning more matches because he hasn't agreed on a deal. Um, as you say, the reactions, the image, the look, the presentation, the moves, the the merch. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one, the puppet type one with the
Yeah.
strings. I think that's the best seller, but there's some others that have done really well. Fans want to see him, and fans want to see him win, and they had an opportunity here to give him a big win against Sami Zayn. They really could have done that. Do you remember, not to harp on about AEW, but there's probably going to be examples in WWE as well. But the one I think of is when the late John Huber,
Huh?
Brody,
Yeah.
Brody Lee went into
Yeah.
AEW and he decimated Cody and beat
Yes.
him for the title. Well, that didn't really affect Cody, did it? You
No.
know, long term. I really think if they'd have approached that match last night, and given how Sammy stood up to him in the back and he punched him in the mouth on, I think that was SmackDown, wasn't it?
Raw.
Or Raw, yeah, it was
Mhm.
on Raw. They could have gone in here and no longer is carrying smiling. He could have been smiling at the start. The smile drops off his face and he destroys Sammy and
Yeah.
beats him pretty quickly. I don't think that would have hurt Sami Zayn in the short term, medium, or long term. I
No.
think Sammy's probably in a position where they are going to put a title on him, a world title on him at some point.
See.
I think, yeah. Well, I've seen we keep getting like drips of this story and like the promo that he cut. He ultimately lost against Orton. I do feel that he's probably got a world title on his horizon in the next year. Um, but I thought this was just such a great chance just to put Kross over as a potential top guy, and we got the same stuff we did as when he wrestled AJ
Yeah.
and others. We just got the predictable. Um, he's lying on the mat, or did he pass out? No, no, he was Helluva on it.
No, yeah, he was clotheslining him in the corner, wasn't he? He clotheslined him about 3 times, went to do the fourth, and as he went to back to the corner to do it, Sammy Haluva kicked him, and then
Yeah, just yeah, a wasted opportunity. I would put that down to.
if AEW are being so selective, are they should they look at Karrion Kross, or would you think perhaps is TNA returning to the Killer Cross kind of character? Would that, do you think, in short term, perhaps that may suit him better? Or do you think AEW would take a punt on him, or is the roster just at that point where he would just probably do what he's doing now in the WWE if he were to go over there?
I actually think Japan, to be honest,
Mm.
but he's a big guy as well, and they like their big guys in Japan. So I think that could be a good fit. My concern with TNA is now because of the relationship with WWE,
Yeah.
like how well would that play out? How much power have WWE got over that, and uh, have they got the ability to hold Cross back in TNA? I think, yeah, on the surface that would be a good move because he did so well there, but I still think there's an opportunity for him to do really well in WWE, but he's got to win matches like last night. He's got to win matches. At some point, So things have to change. You can do all the character work, you can do all the good promos, and like you said, the promo after WrestleMania, you can sell all the t-shirts in the world. If he's going out there and every time he wrestles he loses, it's not going to be long before either the fans lose interest or his contract just dwindles down and he has enough and he goes elsewhere.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you mentioned Sammy World title. Well, the Royal Rumble next year is in Saudi Arabia. Is that something what
Mm.
Sammy could end up winning there?
Yeah, I didn't know that, to be honest. Yeah, that's a great shout, to be honest. I
Yeah,
really do think they've put enough um into some little bits, some little segments, some promos. Um, Karrion saying you'll never be a world champion and this is why you've never been one. And I think that is all part of a longer story for Sammy and I don't know if he's going to be a heel. I don't know if he's going to stay as he is. I don't know if he's going to learn lessons as he goes. Similar to what I said about Cody, about not being able to take the kill shot at
yeah,
WrestleMania with Cena. Um, yeah, it was WrestleMania.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think that could be something that they, particularly in Saudi as well, that would go over. And I understand that as well, where the show was last night, and Sammy got a massive reaction,
yeah.
and I understand them wanting to book him strong there, but I just think Cross needed it more than Sammy did.
Yeah, he absolutely did. We'll find out. We'll find out where Karrion Cross ends up as well. I'll be keeping an eye myself. Our good friends at Ringside Renaissance are big fans of Karrion Cross, and I was on the show doing night predictions, night of champions predictions. You can see that on their channel. Go to Ringside Renaissance and have a little look. See me looking like an airplane pilot. I had some audio issues, and I had to wear a headset, and my microphone was like somewhere over here, so it could help them for their shows. So yeah,
Yeah,
I look like a pilot. But yeah, great guys over there. Combat Jones and Pretty Deadly Jesse. So go and check that out. Um,
I like those names as well.
they've got great gimmick names. They're fantastic. Yeah, they got their they record. Say sorry, Zoom, but they record on Riverside, which and I think they pay like a premium. But they even have like a entrances. Like when they introduce themselves, they're like Andrew comes out and he has like a machine gun, so he's like Andrew, and it goes click click Combat Jones, and then fires like an AK-47, and Jesse's like this, and it's like a doo things happen like that. So yeah, I have to have a look. See if
I need them to renegotiate my next hitting the turnbuckle contract. Then yeah, I need some stuff like that
you're
popping
in your
off.
contract year, Dave, right?
Yeah.
We'll have to see. I just need to pay the if I want to do it, I just need to pay some money to Riverside and look at it. It's something I'm looking at doing. Um, Anyway, before Zoom decide to kick us off the air for talking about competition, United States Championship. I mean, this is where the term overbooked started for me. Jacob and Solo. I always thought Solo was going to win this. Obviously, he did. I always thought Hikuleo was going to come out and cost Jacob the title, which he did. Um, Obviously, JC Mateo gets involved. Tangaloa comes out. So we've got Tangaloa, Tamatonga, and now Tala Loa or Tala Tonga in Hikaleo is now his name. They all come out. Appreciate that keeps Jacob strong. I understand that because they've already got big plans for him. David, the title reign was 62 days, so we're looking at 2 months really for his title reign has come to an end. Solo, I do. Don't get me wrong. I'm more than happy that he's won the championship, but it just got to a point, Dave, where you're just like, how many more times are we going to be seeing three or four guys come into the ring and have an impact in a match?
Yeah, if Hikuleo was the only interference on this show, I love that. I would
Mm.
have absolutely, I think that would have made him look even more impressive, to be honest. Obviously, physically, he's a big guy. Um, you know, I'm interested to see how he goes on the main roster now. I love that. I love the fact that he's kind of involved now, because he's been signed for a long time and he's been like on
Yeah.
the, waiting in the wings. But yeah, the other stuff. Did we really need that? Did we really need Tama, was it Tama Tonga and
Tonga.
Tongaloa and JC?
Yeah, don't say his
Yeah.
last.
Yeah, it could have just been Hikuleo. It could have just been Hikuleo. As you say, I'm quite glad that Solo's won the title. I think that helps
Mm.
him. I think he needed the win after suffering a number of losses over the last few months. I also think that Jacob, now it frees him up to kind of move on from this, but maybe he won't. Maybe he's going to be facing Hikuleo and the others for the foreseeable. I do want Jacob to kind of push on into the main title scene, but I just think it's too heavily congested at the top at the minute. And as you say, with Cody's win, we know where we're going with the WWE title, with the undisputed. So. Yeah, I think maybe we'll be seeing more of this over the next weeks and months.
Yeah, what I thought was quite interesting, just talking about Cody's one quickly, was they mentioned that the winner of the winner of the King and Queen of the Ring would get their shot at the retrospective brands, which normally means a Raw superstar wins one, and the SmackDown superstar wins the second, and that's how they go to summer. No, didn't happen. SmackDown superstar
No.
apparently. I didn't know Cody was on SmackDown. I must have missed that. But I don't know. Fuck God. What do I know
Well,
about?
you're such a big fan of the draft and how it's all played out.
Yeah, I love drafts in the WWE. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
they,
wait
they
for the next
stick
one.
so rigidly to them as well, don't they? Once they
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. You
go
never
off
see
back
it.
there,
You
they
never see it.
never, yeah,
You never see a Raw guy on SmackDown or a SmackDown guy on Raw after the draft, do you? No.
no.
Yeah. So what a load of shit that is. But yeah. Two SmackDown people won it, which brings me nicely to the Queen of the Ring. Just Jesus, Dave. You need to help me out on this. Jade Cargill, Oscar. Jade Cargill now doesn't know how to pin somebody, which is quite concerning. Um, is this a case of she's got the look? She does have the look, and there's no doubt about that. We've said it. We said this on AEW, and I said this to you maybe last week, the week before, that it was nut cutting time for her on WWE. Not literally, obviously, but like you've got to start showing what you can do in that ring. And for me, right now, I don't see, well, if she didn't have that look, I think right now she'd be on the free agency list.
Yeah, she's looked very shaky in this match from an in-ring perspective. The look, the image, the presentation. She's like a superhero. We've always said that.
Yeah,
I think they're going to fully commit to this, so I think they will go all the way, and I think Jade will win the title. But I also think that Naomi's going to cash in straight away, and
exactly.
she'll be the one that's
Yeah,
defines herself as the women's champion. Where that leaves Jade, then I'm not sure. I think they've started this story, and I think she was always going to win last night.
yeah,
But in terms of in-ring, it wasn't convincing. You could say if it was just this one match that maybe they struggled chemistry wise, or Asuka's one of the best.
yeah.
So if she can't go out there and have a good match or a semi decent match against Asuka, you do worry, because it's not the first time.
No.
And how much time do you give? She's been wrestling 5 years now. Um, I don't know. AEW, when she was there, they did a lot like squash matches, didn't they? And
Yeah,
very short matches, which kind of hid some of her weaknesses to a degree. But she's in a different world now. If she wants to be a WrestleMania main eventer, big time, star for the company, she's got to back it up in the ring as well. So we'll see. But this wasn't her best match.
no, you hit the nail on the head there, mate. If you can't get a good match from Oscar, there's a concern there. There
Mhm.
really, really is. And it wasn't like she messed up a moment. There was some clunky bits in there. Even the finish for Jaded, I think, was went a little bit on awry, so to
It
speak.
looks like she's like having to really think about every moment. There's like nothing natural. It's very kind of like, I don't know. Maybe it is the criticism and that's manifesting itself, into kind of stressing her out. But she does look like she's trying to remember what's coming next, and yeah, just didn't go well last night.
Would she have benefited from some time from a year in NXT instead
I
of
think
pushing
so.
straight up to the main roster?
Yeah, I think we got Mariah May or Blake Monroe in there, who, you know, arguably could have gone to the main roster, but she's gone there, and she'll probably be better off for it in the long run, and so will the company. I think that definitely should have happened with Jade.
Where do you see this Blake Monroe character? Is it a rip-off of Mariah May or a bit of a rip-off of Tony Storm? so to speak.
Yeah, it's definitely take seems to be taking a bit of a shot. I haven't seen enough of it though to really, because I
No.
saw a debut, but I haven't really seen much of NXT to kind of give my full opinion on it. But when I heard the name, it did make me think that yeah, that's surely got to be a reference to Tony Storm. Maybe it's with Tony's blessing, or maybe there's nothing more to it. Um, but yeah, a little bit suspicious. If she starts doing like the timeless type stuff on the main roster, then
You
yeah,
won't get away with some of the stuff that Tony Storm has been saying.
no, no. To be fair, there's only one Tony Storm, and if they try and have her like a rip off of Tony Storm, I don't think that's going to help the company or the performer. Mariah May, Blake Monroe, she's for whatever we think about her, know about her, heard about her from a personal level, she's a pretty good women's wrestler. Um, and she doesn't need to rip off anybody else. She could be her own character. And hopefully that's what they do with her.
Yeah, I mean, she was, don't get me wrong, she portrayed a good version of Tony Storm in AEW as well. There's no doubt about it. I mean, maybe that was a kind of rip off of her in AEW as well. I don't know, but
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. I just wanted to bring that up because we mentioned her, but yeah, I do agree. Jay Cargill should have been in NXT at least
yeah,
for the start of her show. Maybe she's feeling the ill effects of that now. Main event time. Cena Punk. I love the basic punkonomics in SmackDown. I thought that was I love that. Didn't quite the pipe bomb. I didn't think Punk went as far as what he could have done with it on SmackDown. For the most part, I mean, the Punk was fucking blowing before he got to the ring. For fuck's sake, the ring walk done him.
yeah,
I know it was hot. I mean, he was sweating profusely waiting for Cena to come out, but they'd done a
yeah,
camera shot on him, and he was. I mean, it would have been really hot out there. I'm not trying to say he was blowing because he was tired, but he was. He looked, he's in good shape, but he just looked bad from when we saw him. For the most part, I thought this match was fine. I thought we was going to get a couple of throwbacks. I was hopeful we was going to see a power driver because Punk done that on Raw, didn't they? They had that great match on Raw where Punk hit the power driver. But this was a basic, the kind of match now that John Cena has given us throughout this retirement run, which I actually said it. I tweeted it on X and I said, bookmark this ref bump, low blow, belt shot, Cena wins. And kind of right. We then had a Seth Rollins cash in that I wasn't expecting, to be fair. And when he was coming down, I didn't think it was going to happen at first. And then when they all started laying into him, I was like, holy shit, this actually they may be doing it now, which I was going to be quite surprised with. Um, and then Penta comes out, and I have to. Do you remember when Jeff Hardy debuted in AEW and his
yeah,
brother was getting his head kicked in, and he fucking had to do the dance on the stage before he got to the ring?
yeah,
Penta having to do his moonwalk.
yeah,
Like, you're trying to help guys that are getting their asses handed to them, and you're doing this moonwalk down the stage. Sami Zayn reappears, all of that stuff. And then Seth Rollins, briefcase shot. Cena ends up picking up the victory. This was overbooked massively in it, way too overbooked for me. But Cena wins, goes on to face Cody at SummerSlam. So obviously, Dave, like I said before, give your overview and is SummerSlam. And you hit the nail. I need to bookmark what you said earlier on because actually now think we're going to kind of go down the Austin Brett route at SummerSlam. Because obviously SummerSlam's 2 nights this year as well. But I think you've got it. The double turn for Cody and Cena, with Cody maybe selling out to The Rock at SummerSlam this time, and him winning, and then going maybe heel and having Cena as the face leading into the final part of his run with the company.
yeah. I think that's with what they did in the autumn match as well. It just made me kind of really think that that was the direction they're going to be heading in. Um, this Cena heel stuff. There's been elements that I've enjoyed. There really
Mhm.
has. I quite like the pipe bomb.
That was great.
And you just look back though. It's pointless looking back, really, because it's happened and it's done, and we can't do anything about it. But I just think a so much better way would have been for Cody to retain at WrestleMania, Cena to beat Jey Uso at some point to get his 17th reign up, Cena ultimately to put Gunther over, and stay a face the whole time. yeah, but we are where we are. That's what I would have done retrospectively. But yeah, we've got what we've got. I quite like the moment with Punk and Cena at the end when they
Mhm.
kind of hugged.
Yeah.
And then we saw the look on Cena's face again, which, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I think there was a better way of doing that as well. But overbooked, a bit silly, a bit crap. Um, you know, just again, same old, same old. Um, we said it earlier about Cena saying about ruining wrestling. I think that's a bit of a cop out now to say that, yeah, we're just going to finish ma main event matches like this. I would have just loved a match, even if Cena won. And I get it, Cena's going out, and you don't want Punk to look weak. But given their rivalry, I think Cena's 48, Punk's 46, so they're relatively close in age.
Yeah.
Yeah, their rivalry was 6-6. I think they got one non-finish and one draw. So I think you could argue that on any given night, either of them could win
Mm.
based off the back of that. So to get all the interference, to get what we got, I just thought it was lazy, to be honest. Uninspired, typical kind of house show type finish, what you'd expect when you go into a house show. You know the title's not going to change hands, so they do something like that. Um, yeah, that's my thoughts, mate. I'd really like to be more positive about it, because I thought the actual match was all right. The main body of the match was all right.
Mm.
Um, and I was looking forward to seeing it, and I think a lot of people would have been checking this card out, even if people have, because I said they've done a better job in recent years with the Saudi shows and international shows in general. Even if there were people that weren't expecting a lot
Yeah.
from this show, they would have been tuning in for the main event. Um, so again, just a shame with how it finished. Just kind of disappointed with what we got, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. We're just going to quickly. I just want to just reading something quickly while earlier on. I was talking about we pay good money and you want to see good wrestling or you want to see a good wrestling show, and they were just saying that the NXT's Great American Bash, which is it's live from I want to say Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, just a few hours before All In has now they're bearing in mind now, WWE fans. This only has a 772 seat attendance for NXT before you start moaning about AEW's attendances. And they've distributed quite a lot of them. A $243 minimum for standard pricing for NXT's show. What the fucking ridiculous world are we living in where you have to pay $243 to watch the C brand in the WWE? Dave, what the fuck's going on with this?
Yeah, there's that. There's the counter programming element as well. I think they've been constantly doing that. Booking shows the same time or days as AEW shows or venues or making it difficult. I don't know, mate. I think it's needless, and the ticket prices. I think they've been steadily doing that for some
Mhm.
time now, and we spoke about this a month or two ago. When the product's hot and everything's going all right, it's a bit short term because next year they could have empty or semi-empty arenas because if the product carries on as it is at the minute, because it's not a hot product right now, there's
No.
elements that have been good. There's certain shows that are good, but it's not the product it was a year ago, coming off of the back of WrestleMania 40, say.
Mhm.
It's been really good for a long time, but I would say the last few months have been a bit disappointing from a fan perspective. Some of the storylines, some of the booking, some of the laziness around the booking. Um, and people aren't going to kind of keep paying those kind of ticket prices if they're not getting a good product. So they need to be careful, to be honest. I know it's the WWE, it's a massive company. 240 quid or $243 for a developmental show, or as you say, the C brand, and that's the cheapest ticket.
Yes,
That is
pricing. Yeah.
insane,
Mm.
insane.
And just to touch on an AEW thing before we finish, Mike Bennett has just tweeted out bookings and then his email address. Is Mike Bennett done with AEW? Or I mean, I know that generally they can take bookings outside of AEW, but
Mhm.
I don't
Not
know.
sure. To be honest, I'd forgot about him and Taven.
He has removed
Yeah,
any AEW references from his, at least from his X account.
I forgot about him and Taven. I really, yeah, I can't remember the last time we saw them. They were they were part of Cole and Roddy's faction, weren't they? But that was before Paragon.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm not sure, but seemingly, yeah, as you say, they do have the opportunity to work independent shows and take bookings outside of AEW. But from the sounds like it, and the fact that we haven't seen him for so long, then yeah, he may well be done with AEW.
Interesting times. Just as I say, I always read social media while we're on here, not because I don't want to hear what you got to say, but obviously if anything breaks like that, I'd like to be
Yeah, yeah,
put it on there. So yeah, I mean, Night of Champions is in the book. Thank fuck that's done. We move to Raw tomorrow night. Goldberg's retirement coming up for those of you that give a shit about that. That'll be coming up same weekend as All In, actually. The day before, I believe, All In, that one. 3 minutes against Gunther, which should be yeah, great to watch. And it's even fucking better because it's on Saturday night's main event, and the fucking adverts that we get on Saturday night's main event will be longer than the match, which should
yeah,
be
yeah.
fucking superb. Can't wait. Yeah, really dismal time really in the WWE at the minute. You can tell that, but we don't hold back on the show. If we like something, we say it. If we don't like it, we say it. We, you know,
Oh, we've been saying how good wrestling is and the product's been for so long. I think there's some legitimate criticism around WWE at the minute. The ticket pricing, the truth stuff as well, that left a sour taste in everybody's mouth, and
yeah.
they can try and pass it off as a work as much as they want, and
Mm.
Triple H's, um, you know, keep watching or whatever he said. I think Kevin Nash actually came out on his podcast and really defended Triple H and said it was definitely a work. It wasn't. It wasn't. He'd gone. Um, a number of things, mate, a number of things have kind of built up, and there's not the same goodwill there that there was a year or so ago from the fans, and I think it will start affecting ticket sales and ratings. I know ratings aren't as much of a thing in terms of television ratings, but
Yeah,
everything's tracked and monitors. I think the interest in the product will definitely start to wane if they don't kind of sort this out and correct it.
definitely so. We'll have to wait and see. So set for Raw tomorrow. Rhea Ripley will open the show. Can't wait for that. Penta and Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Sheamus versus Rusev. That'll be an intro. There you go. A nice little meat slapper there. It'll be interesting. That Gunther's going to be there. Yeah. Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce will have an evolution segment about the women's pay-per-view show. Hey, listen, I'm all for the women's pay-per-view show, by the way. I will look forward to that.
Yeah.
And the Judgment Day will be going for the World Tag Team Championships again as they take on the New Day. All that scheduled for Raw this week. So for those of you that want to set your DVRs, set them now because that sounds fucking shit. So yeah, can't wait for that this week. SmackDown, Dave, quickly, last week before we go. SmackDown going back to 2 hours next week. There is a fucking God in this world, and back to 2 hours. That should be better for SmackDown going back to 2 hours.
I think so, yeah. I think 3 hour shows hopefully are a thing of the past now. We saw a few 4 hour shows in AEW and it's just too long. 3 hours, 4 hours. The company should have learned that from Nitro when they were doing 3 hours, however long ago that was, 25 years ago. So yeah, I think now Raw and SmackDown will both be 2 hours. Yeah.
Apparently, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I know that's an hour less wrestling, but that should that should mean 4 hours of quality. Really, there's no excuse. Again, with what you've just announced, it's not the most. I'm not particularly looking forward to that Raw, to be honest. And that's a shame because there's some I really have. Many. Just at the minute, coming off that card and then going into Raw, that's got so much. I mean, we could probably predict those matches now, and we'll be talking later in the week saying, yeah, we got it spot on. Just uninspired, mate.
Yep, uninspired indeed. But anyway, coming up on this show this week, me and Fiona will be doing our 100th NWA Power Review show, and we're following that by interviewing the current reigning defending NWA World Heavyweight Champion. In TNA, you may know him as Bram, but we now know him as Thomas Latimer. So we're finally getting him on the show this week. So that'll be really, really fun. I'm looking forward to doing that with Fee. But Dave, it's always been great to talk some wrestling for you, even though it's not been the best of shows to talk about. But we've got lots more to get into. But you can catch us at HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media platforms. And big thank you to you all so far on X, because this has been our most watched month since the show began. So big thank you to I know the special interviews are the ones in particular the people have been watching. Keep watching. Big thanks to everybody for that. Big thanks to you as always, Dave. We'll see you again on this week. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.